Good morning, humanity. It's October 25, 2021, and it's our favorite time of the week because it's Mondays with Bev and Paul. Hey, everybody, my name's Paul.
Good morning. This is Bev.
Hi, Bev. We're once again technical difficulties.
Well, it's kind of minor, but we're used to using earphones, so oh
Right.
well.
Well, and I'm trying to figure out if people can hear us. So if you can hear us, please let us know. I know you can hear me, but we're not sure that we can hear Bev. But we'll try it anyhow. We'll just keep going and see what happens. Okay, we're going to talk about BioTouch for relationships. But the first thing we want to do is congratulate all of our new certified practitioners, not certified, just practitioners.
Yeah.
We had four people in the class. There's Eileen who helped teach with me. We had Brandy. She was from Maryland. She actually over 20 years ago worked in our center in Hawaii.
Oh man, that is cool.
Yep. She wanted to get recertified, and so she's on the process. She does acupuncture now, works different kinds of medical situations. We have Tricia, who was from Poncho Spring, Colorado, down there in the bottom right. She was a friend of Eileen's, and she wants to work with hospice. And then we have Brody and his wife Naomi, who's a massage therapist. Brody owns a restaurant there in Idaho, and they both work there. And he wants to get certified. So
Right.
it was an awesome class. Awesome.
That's great. And so that's exciting. Congratulations to everyone.
Yes, congratulations, and we look forward to working with everybody. And let me see what's happening here. Oh, so I guess they can hear us. So, okay. So, Bev,
Oh,
BioTouch for relationships.
oh man, where do we start with that?
I know we can go all over the place. So let's see.
Well, let's start by saying that what we say is that biotouch is a relationship of healing. And even though maybe don't know that whole umbrella called healing, we know that that changes things. So biotouch changes things, and that's what happens in relationships. It's part of the evolutionary process because relationships have to change. We have to grow, we have to become self aware in ourselves so that our relationships with others can be, more loving and compassionate.
Right.
So we have something at the very essence of that called biotouch that can begin that process. The second thing is relationships are it's what's going on down here.
Down
Humanity
here.
is growing and learning and expressing through our relationships with each other. So right there, we're stuck. Humanity is stuck,
Right.
and
And
and on the verge of this evolutionary, consciousness, this awareness that we're always talking about. So I can't help but think that at the time that biotouch emerged in the 70s, it was the beginning of planting a seed for now
right.
because
Because
we
we
said,
see it.
biotouch is here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're holding it.
So it,
So let's talk about relationships because there's many kinds, aren't there?
right. So it reminds me when I went to Egypt and did a presentation on the local radio station there. Actually, it was TV, and they had to translate. People were calling from all over the Middle East there, and what I learned there, and you were just talking about it, was there was some common denominator in all of humanity, all people on the planet. And it didn't matter your language, it didn't matter where you lived, it didn't matter the color of your skin. And that common denominator was suffering and fear and looking a little bit for relief. And presenting BioTouch in that atmosphere, and whether I present it whatever country, virtually or in person, it meets people at that really that level, that mundane level of our existence on this planet as human beings stuck in a body that I'm suffering. my partner is suffering, my neighbor is suffering, the person I see on Facebook is suffering, and we're all afraid. We're just afraid. And so we're struggling to come together, and BioTouch meets us at that really deep, deep level of what you just called love. And healing begins to happen.
Yeah. That's, I always think of when I said we're stuck, I'm like, that is the button that unsticks.
That's a
Because
good
we're
one.
always talking about when you first do a practice BioTouch, you do the greeting. That's like this key that pushes and unsticks us.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Simple little button right there.
That button.
That first point, those two buttons, right? It's unsticking us and preparing us to take this amazing journey in our relationships. And I will say, a relationship with ourselves, that's what we call self-awareness. But then we have to enter into relationships with our family, our friends, our coworkers. I mean, on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
One relationship happening down here.
Right. And so I'm reminded of when I taught with Zoe on the paranormal show that she did, and her husband was using the camera, and so they got really excited about practicing with one another. But even more important, here was this guy. I think he worked for Tesla Corporation. The next day, he went into the office, and a buddy of his had a headache, and he said it was amazing that he felt like he had something to share with his buddy, and he just did BioTouch that he had just learned the night before and just learned a couple of set points and was able to help his friend. Changed the relationship immediately and really hit a part of him that felt like he was helping. It really helped him step out and was able to communicate with his buddy without a bunch of words or diagnosing or recommendations and things like that.
That's an interesting point that we have brought up also, that when you think about a relationship, the deeper meaning of it, it's that the two humans involved, or the two beings involved, must each give and receive an equal amount. And that's only when you can have a true relationship. Equality. It's not like I'm having a relationship with somebody and they're beating me up all the time, but I'm loving them. That's not a relationship. That's a harmful situation. A true relationship is that both of those beings in that proximity to each other are both receiving and giving equally now. And that is the beauty and the secret weapon of BioTouch in relationships.
the secret weapon, yeah.
Breaks us all down. We become vulnerable and feel a sense of safety and trust when we're practicing BioTouch. And we always say you cannot do BioTouch with another person and not get something back.
Right.
That's why we can say BioTouch is a true relationship.
And we've had people in relationships who have done this, husband and wife teams. And the greatest one is Rose, who worked with her husband specifically for the strokes, right? And
yeah, so Larry benefited. BioTouch just changed his whole quality of life when Rose started doing that. That was his takeaway. Rose's was that, I mean, and I'm sure, I know Larry benefited also, but her biggest thing about helping her husband and doing BioTouch with him was the shifting of the relationship itself. That
right.
It deepened and it expanded and it changed for both of them. That's what BioTouch's gift was for their relationship. She says, oh my gosh, not only is my husband able to hug me again, physically, it was a physical thing, but the emotional and mental and, this heart, that's what BioTouch brought to that relationship between the two of them. It's magical.
Right. Yeah, totally magical. I mean, and it just went deeper and deeper and deeper. She said she'd never had that kind of love any time in their relationship.
No.
You know, we've also had other people who if they get into a little tiff and they knew BioTouch, they just do the greeting and just A of the headset, and it gave them that moment of stopping, and they were able to come back into the relationship and work things out. And that's powerful just in itself. Just what does that take? A minute to do the greeting in A.
It's almost like when you do it in that moment, BioTouch is saying, oh, let's bring ourselves back into what's true about ourselves.
Right.
Let's bring ourselves back into which is our nature is love and to love.
Right.
So let's take us out of that, and in that moment of just doing the greeting with each other, it reminds us that we are this, not that.
And Kai just said here, she said, "Good afternoon. BioTouch brought my husband and I closer than ever before."
Yes.
And there's another good one too. If we start taking BioTouch into the next generation of relationships, Kai and her family is a perfect example. She got pregnant and started applying BioTouch immediately in the pregnancy, and now is starting to do that with the little one and making it a part of Maisie's life, and that will be part of the whole family's life,
Oh yeah.
so that hopefully down the road, as we have another one of our recipients who now has breast cancer, and the 13-year-old daughter is very agitated, very worried, very upset because mom had just finished a couple of years ago almost dying. And so the daughter's frantic, but yet now that she's learning BioTouch, it calms her down. She's able to do something for her mother. What an empowering thing in that kind of a relationship between the parent and the child.
I mean, it's perfect. And this 13-year-old little girl has been coming into the center with her mommy for how long?
Right.
And being a part of those sessions and actually doing BioTouch with her mom in those sessions.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so when the emergency came up, even though they don't practice a lot, the first thing that triggered in her mind is, Mom, I can do BioTouch for you.
I can do something for you,
Yes.
Mom, instead of just sitting here and, oh, that is a precious gift.
Yes. So you can see why we here, Bev and I, come every Monday dedicating ourselves to get BioTouch into your relationships. And it's as simple as just going to justtouch.com. It's as simple as, coming to some of our classes, or just learning a set of points that we do every week, and then once a month for a particular condition. So even though we're just addressing the body, that's all we have to, the Dalai Lama, you're talking about relationship. We have a lot of talk in the movements on the planet. Oh, we're all one, just love. You just got to love one another. I mean, it's all fine and good. Well, at the same time, underneath, you're going, that SOB, what the hell? They don't believe what I do, And so now you have these chasms going on. And the Dalai Lama was perfect. He says, if you want to understand the oneness of humanity, look at bodies. Start there. And that's where BioTouch starts. That's the button you talked about. The button on the body.
It's putting love into action. It's not just words anymore, because it doesn't require words.
Right.
Words get in the way.
And it doesn't require belief systems.
Yeah. So when you just use those two fingers and you touch the body lightly, it automatically says, oh, this is a loving, safe touch. And the body responds. And it starts, something's going to happen. And it begins, and the self-awareness, and this is it.
So if you want to learn it, go to justtouch.com. We had someone take our certification class once, and they worked at the center and they did their hands-on. And on the last day of the certification program class, he said, "Now, I think I'm getting this. This would mean that I could actually do this just touch philosophy. I could make that just a part of my everyday life."
Oh.
So that's what happens. If you just start doing a little bit, it infiltrates our cells. It changes our mind, like you said, Bruce Lipton. Just
Yeah.
have that little thought of love, and the cells begin to change. The body begins to change. The story changes, and our relationships thus will change. Imagine that revolution. That's what that CIA agent said in our class. BioTouch was the most profound revolution he'd ever seen because it was about love.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah. And he said, the most difficult thing is how you're going to pass that on in its purity. Well, folks, I think Bev and I are trying to do that.
We're doing our best. So come and join us and help us.
That's right. The next job is, how are you out there going to pass on the purity and the simplicity of BioTouch? So we encourage you to join us. We have a great workshop coming up Thursday, and that one's going to be on Hashimoto's disease with our one and only Deborah Schildhouse. So join us for that, and we have another practitioner training coming up real soon. Let's teach. We have a little time here just to teach a little bit on how to do the ear set. So this can help with hearing, ear infections. Great for the children. Let's just show a little bit of this one.
The ear set may be used for any conditions affecting the ears, including problems with balance and equilibrium. Step 1. On one side of the head, hold at X, which is just in front of the flap at the opening of the ear. On the opposite side of the head, touch points 1 and 2. Point 1 is at the indentation in the bone behind the ear, about 1/3 of the way down from the top of the ear. Adjust the fingers to be snug against the skull. Point 2 is a small indentation at the bottom of the ear directly behind the jawbone. Again, adjust the fingers so they are snug against the ear. Now find hold point X on the other side of the head, and in crossfire touch point 1, the indentation in the bone behind the ear, about 1/3 of the way down from the top of the ear. Then touch point 2, the small indentation at the bottom of the ear directly behind the jawbone. Finally, for step 2, in matching fire touch points 1 and 1, 2 and 2, X and X.
Whoops, I wasn't on there. So anyhow, here I am. This has been one hell of a day for tech things. So anyhow, you got the ear set. If you're listening to us, practice it. Bev, thanks for this relationship here on this Mondays with Bev and Paul. And thank you all for having a relationship with us and allowing us into your home and on your computer. So until next week, my friends, keep touching.
I can feel the pain in sunshine or rain, so it's not caused by the weather, but it doesn't hurt that much after I feel your loving touch and we spend some time together. Take my pain away each and every day You're an angel from heaven on high. Your butterfly touch helps me heal so much, and I get better as time goes by. You take my pain